Hello, this is President Akhenaten of Alexandria of Republic of New Australia, and I am making this video to explain New Australian parliamentary procedure. This is a typo. This has nothing to do with my egotism. This is not indicative of any subconscious narcissism. Okay, how do you propose a bill? This is how you should propose a bill. You write the bill. You title the bill, preferably with the long and short titles. The long title is the formal title. It's the official title. It takes the form such as to prevent feminism, communism, and other gayness from infiltrating the Republic. It's a bill to do something. The short title is the informal title, used to refer to it more easily, usually takes a form such as Immigration Reform Act. Make sure sections are properly titled. Send the bill to the Speaker or Clerk, and alternatively you can use the in-meeting method to make the Speaker angry at you. Etiquette is to put the short title in the first section. At the meetings, well, to join a meeting, join the appropriate chat when the Speaker tells you. Follow the agenda given by the Speaker. The agenda usually includes call to order, review of previous meetings, committee reports, completion of old business, and proposal of new business, but the Speaker will handle it. Just do what he tells you. While conducting business, use the voting methods prescribed by the Speaker. Do not speak till you have the floor. Sometimes he'll open the floor to anyone, or open to discussion on this, but don't speak unless it's your turn to speak. Do not propose new bills till the Speaker opens the meeting to new business, so don't just blurt out, I want to propose this. The order will proceed as follows. Unresolved business, business registered by the Speaker during adjournment, and new business. So if you want, obviously priority will be given to things you didn't get done last time, then will be things that you registered with the Speaker in the meantime, and then after that you can propose new things when the Speaker opens it. Proposing bills in meeting. Avoid this method. It's terrible. I guess you can kind of do it, but it creates hassle. Have the bills prepared and properly formatted. Do not try to write a bill on the spot. That's a bad idea. It leads to bad things. Once obtaining the floor, say, I introduce, followed by your bill title. Send your bill to the floor. So it would be like, I introduce a bill to ban Muslims from New Australia. Speaker will read the bill and proceed according to his discretion. I say according to his discretion because if it's completely improperly formatted, he will reject it. If it violates the Constitution, he will reject it, etc. Then he might refer it to a committee. He might just vote on it. He will do what he will do. Basic parliamentary procedure. This is actual parliamentary procedure. The rest is just the etiquette and how it functions on New Australia. But this is, most of this is real parliamentary procedure on this last slide. To obtain the floor, say Mr. Speaker and wait to be acknowledged. This is for all. If you want to obtain the floor, say Mr. Speaker and wait to be acknowledged. You might already kind of have the floor, so this doesn't apply to that. Ask a question about parliamentary procedure, say parliamentary inquiry. You can do this, you can interrupt, you don't have to get the floor, you just say parliamentary inquiry. Also, on this, to wait to be acknowledged is very important. If he does not acknowledge you, just say it again or be quiet. To ask a question about, alright, okay, so if you're confused about how all this works, say parliamentary inquiry, ask your question. To ask a relevant but non-procedural question, say important information, so you can ask about what's in the bill, or what about this, what about that. But don't ask random stuff like how old is Donald Trump, or what color is the sky. Don't do that. To move to vote on the current question, say I move the previous question. So if you're debating the question, you think it's time to actually vote on it. You're done debating, everything's been discussed. Say I move the previous question. To move to temporarily lay aside the current question, say I move to lay the question on the table. To move to in consideration on the current question, say I move to postpone the question indefinitely. To modify the current question, say I move to amend, followed by the current question. Okay. On this, that means if you are tired of discussing it, you can say I move to lay the question on the table, maybe postpone it. To move to in consideration on the current question, say I move to postpone the question indefinitely. This is because of a thing in parliamentary procedure where you can postpone to a certain date, which I'm not doing because, frankly, you autists couldn't understand it. So you're saying, I move to postpone the question indefinitely. This makes it very difficult to consider again. To move to modify the current question, say, I move to amend, followed by the current question and your proposed modification. So if you think you need to amend something, say, I move to amend whatever you were discussing. So I move to amend the bill to paint the sky red by striking out red and inserting white, something like that. To move to consider a postponed question, say I move to take the question from the table. So say I move to take the Immigration Act from the table. If it's on the table, if there's nothing to discuss right now, you want to bring in that you're in the place where you're at towards the end of the meeting, you want to discuss something on the table, you say, I move to take the question from the table. The table is things we're not discussing right now. And then the speaker will handle how many votes it requires. To move to reconsider a vote, say, I move to reconsider the vote on, followed by the question. So if you think that we should reconsider something, you think it was adopted and shouldn't have been, or it wasn't adopted and should have been, you can say, I move to reconsider the vote. This is very difficult, however. To move to end the meeting, say, I move to adjourn. Most motions will require a second. Parliamentary inquiry and point of information does not. Everything else requires a second. Most votes are by simple majority. A few, like taking an indefinitely postponed question or reconsidering a vote, require 2/3 majority. They're rules, but the speaker will handle all these rules. You usually can't do business unless you have the majority of the parliament, but again, that will all be handled by the speaker. So I think you could all sum this up with the golden rule: listen to the speaker.